good morning to you. Welcome to the Morning Brief right here on Channels Television. I'm Jeffrey Uzama. Guys, good morning.
Good morning, Jeffrey. Well, I didn't get the memo, but it's fine. Welcome to your perfect morning starter on Channels Television. I am Bukola Koka.
And I'm Kayode Kikiolu. Don't worry. There was no memo whatsoever. I mean, these things just happen. But yeah, we're starting off Tuesday, well, on a cherry note, at least at this point. But once we get into the news, the major issues raise concerns. And naturally, we're starting off from a story we've been following from last week, actually. And it's a story of Justice Chidebere, popularly known as Justice Crack. Well, finally, we've seen his face because we were concerned about his whereabouts. His family was concerned, Nigerians were concerned as well because he was missing for the most part of last week until the Nigerian Army released a statement Saturday/Sunday. Well, here he is now. He has now been remanded in the custody of the Department of State Services by the Federal High Court in Abuja after he was arraigned on a 3-count charge bordering on alleged cybercrime, breach of public peace, and felony, to which he pleaded not guilty. And, you know, looking at the copy of the charges against him, filed 3 counts between the Federal Republic of Nigeria and Chidebere Justice Mark. And I don't see any part here that talks about change of government, the allegations around change of government, discussions they said he had with soldiers about overthrowing the government, which sounded absurd anyway. But you are hoping that you'll see those things in the 3 counts that were leveled against him. But what do we have here? They said he allegedly circulated information to the public through his ex-social media handle regarding alleged inadequate feeding of Nigerian Army personnel, which they said information to be false, but posted it for the purpose of causing annoyance, ill will, hatred, especially among the citizens who hold divergent views, and thereby committed an offense contrary to and punishable under, guess what was used? The Cyber Crimes Prohibition Prevention Act 2015. This is the usual suspect. The Cyber Crimes Act can be used for anything at this point. So is this why he was taken into custody by the military? Is this why he was held incommunicado? Is this why he was left in the sun, according to the reports we have, and in the cold room at night? Please make it make sense.
It doesn't make sense, Kadi, and the drama in the court yesterday also made this case all the more unsettling. If it did have that conversation with men of the Nigeria Armed Forces during his interaction that led to the release of those images showing the poor feeding provided for the Nigerian Army, then by all means that should be considered. All of the evidence brought to the fore, and accelerated trial should be given. If he's found guilty, yes, indeed, the law must take its full course. It should suffer it should be brought before justice to face the consequences of his actions. But if that is just an excuse to give a good dog a bad name in order to hang it, then the justice system is broken. Because the facts of the matter that are being considered here look very much unlike the accelerated hearing that has been given to the first round of disarraignment, and then very quickly he's been ordered to be remanded in DSS custody. I wish accelerated hearing would be given to all other similar cases as this one, and then those who are innocent should be let off the hook, and those who are guilty should be thrown behind bars. It's really disheartening to note that someone who is sort of doing a work of activism, advocating for good welfare conditions, for officers of the army who are in the front lines of the battle against insurgency, is being treated in this manner, because this is what it looks like. I wonder if the facts of the case, were fully considered, and both sides, of the matter were heard during this first round of arraignment before this young man has been ordered to be remanded. Don't forget what brought us here. Reports, suggest that he was, put under the sun during daytime, placed in a cold room at nighttime. There were injuries to his wrists and to his ankles, according to reports coming through from one of the activists that spoke to us yesterday. And then he's been missing prior to this time and been in custody for 5 days against the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. I wonder if that was also brought before the judge, before this order of remand, because if that was brought before the judge, before this order of remand, and still it was ordered that Justice Chidiebere be remanded, then there is a big question mark on our justice system, because his rights have been abused, and so he demands some form of compensation from the institution that is responsible for his remand. The man went missing for days with his family not knowing his whereabouts, and his family put in distress. These are some of the issues around this case that ought to have been brought before the judge. How fast was it considered that, and that brings to mind, Aide and Jeffrey, the obnoxious nature of Section 24 of the Cyber Crime Act. Who has been annoyed because that portion of that act suggests that if you put out, information that causes annoyance from a computer, and then you're guilty of the cyber crime, in breach of the Cyber Crime Act. Who has been annoyed as a result of this, conduct of Justice Crack in the first place? Whose annoyance is on the table at this particular point in time? If anything, members of the public have been alarmed as a result of the images that we have been seeing that suggest the nature of feeding of the Nigerian army. And so this first round of the process, from the justice system on this particular case of Justice Crack, places a huge question mark on the work of the judiciary in considering the facts of the matter. Jeffrey, I wonder if you have contrary views as far as this is concerned.
It's sad to see. There are different layers to this issue. First, let's talk about the first layer. The first layer is how he was kidnapped. That's the right word to use. Abducted, if you will. I don't care whether it's military or whatever you call it. These are institutions of Nigeria that should be respected, that should follow due process, that should know what is right and what is wrong within a democracy. So the process itself of picking him up is a problem for me as a person, and I'm sure for every family, for every person who is discerning, who is not just carried away. Just imagine that someone is not found for 1 or 2 days. It took search, literal search, to be able to find him. So what did they do to him within the 1-2 days or so that he was not found, but he was in their custody? The army and the military must realize that this is 2026. We do appreciate, and I don't think anybody should take what the army does for granted. It takes a lot to look at every other job and choose to say, if it has to cost my life to defend the integrity of our country, the sovereignty of our country, I will do it. So that is not in that, which is why we always say thank you for your service. Because no amount of money we pay, you as a government, as a country, will be able to compensate for that level of sacrifice as far as service to nation is concerned. And that's why we made a case the other day to say, the people that are being given lands in Abuja, you should be the one to get that land. So I said that to just make the point that no one takes your job for granted. But the army, the military generals, the military in general must realize that this is 2026 and this is not a military administration. We do not hope to go back to those days. You cannot, for God's sake, pick up someone for whatever intent or purpose who is not a terrorist. At least I don't see that in the charge. To say, because he put out a video, the words that were used were cybercrime, subversion, I think felony, I think that's some words like that in the report we had initially before we now saw this charge sheet. And then the man, his family are not communicating for days. I think that the system should do something about that particular phase, Bukola, because the panic the trauma that the family, the children and the wife had to go through, not knowing where her husband is very, very unacceptable. You must do better, the Nigerian police or the Nigerian army. This is just talking to the military in general. You can't just pick up somebody and make the person disappear. So whoever gave that order in the military has to be held accountable. And there may be charges pressed against that person. On the other part is what is charged. Because if he has a good lawyer, all this will be over in a shortest possible time, except there's something, because I've looked at part of the charge sheet. You know, when you go to court, if the jurisprudence is followed strictly, you have to prove certain things beyond reasonable doubt. So the army must be able to show that what he presented is false, because they are claiming is false. So they must be able to present that this is the state of the welfare of the Nigerian military who are serving at the front lines. So it's not just enough to say the video he put out, sent to him by whoever in the military, is false. You have to have a counter proof that the men and women who are at the front line are actually being taken care of. We see videos of them. Some of them have been dismissed. I think there was a gentleman that was dismissed because he called out some of the military hierarchy, some of these generals who, you know, for whatever reason, buy houses and buy lands in Abuja, while some of these guys in the front line are suffering, struggling with how much is their salary. So it's not just enough to say the food is of best quality. We know what best quality is. So is the army ready to bring out this food and present to the courts, or the quality of food and the amount they spend? That's on one hand. Then the issue of causing public peace and this, you have to also prove that as well. You know, for all intent and purpose, if there is anything that video, in my view, I'm not the court, so since it's already in court, I will not be presumptive, is that it causes empathy for the Nigerian military, for the government to do something. They had, at least they have some information. They said they had a chat with him. The military had a chat. I mean, the officers had a chat. We're not privy to what that chat is that borders on subversion. Did he tell them at protests, you know, carry out mutiny, whatever, any of those languages that are used, if those things were not included? So it just needs to get a good lawyer. And I think Omar Election has reached out to the Attorney General of the Federation, I think who is not in the country, because his case is to be heard and the bail application is to be heard all at the same time on the 25th of May. But please, we should not suppress people for doing service to the nation. He used this platform to bring to light, to the awareness of the Nigerian people, the state of our military. Now you're saying it's false, so we'd like to hear the quality of food, because we know how food is served in other climes where the military serve. So Bukola, I totally align with us right here on this table to say, first, the way it was abducted or picked up or whatever name you want to use is not very good, it's very bad, it's very military-like, it's very not democratic. Second, the military has to do beyond filing these charges, because the DSS has now taken over. What the military presents to the DSS is what the DSS has taken to court. They have to present all of these 3 count charges that are presented. They have to prove a counter. It's not speaking English. It's not just writing whatever you want to write and say, oh, the food he presented, the welfare of the people he presented is bad. No, you have to present the other one. 2, you have to prove that his action is enough to cause public peace, breach of public peace. You have to prove that. So we hope the right thing is done. But if I was to advise, I think the best thing to do is to settle this out of court, and so that we don't cost Nigerian government another embarrassment because of this. Because sometimes when mistakes are made, things like this just pop up in terms of charges just to hold sway, and it's not going to be acceptable. Well, I will not speak on behalf of the court. The courts will decide its fate eventually.
But you know, this is embarrassing already.
I think that's the food, right?
Yeah, this is one of the posts. He put out another one that, in fact, another military person sent him, this time from the Air Force.
Yeah.
So this is embarrassing in all shades already, the way it's being handled. And beyond embarrassing, it is scary as well, because this can happen to anyone. Just in case you're thinking, it can't happen to me, I'll never be in this position. Hey, it can happen to anyone. So the procedure has been flawed. The irony is that his name is Justice.
And you know,
Justice Crack is the nickname they give him, right? So is this speaking to also a crack in the justice system? No one should be treated this way. The military must not go about in such manner. We're under democracy, not under military regime.
And you know, just before we exit this matter, it will be interesting to see if the military can prove this case in court, because the government has always been in denial about the poor feeding state. This is not the first time it's coming to light. The international media has actually done some work on the poor feeding state and the poor state of, if you call it, habitation of soldiers who are tackling Boko Haram at the front lines. We've seen images like this provided by the international media, to which the Minister of Information spoke and denied that that is the case. And we saw, you know, those images. If you went online now, you see credible international media source that has done some work on this. And so if the military has a counter evidence as to what it provides as feeding for officers of the Nigerian army, then by all means it should provide it such that this matter can be proven in court. But if we're asked, we're embarking on a recruitment exercise and we're battling non-state actors that are mean and cruel and have all of the resources in terms of firepower, and of course, you know, they're also embarking on massive recruitment on their own side of the divide, and this, according to reports, is what is being fed officers on the Nigerian army side, then perhaps the federal government is not ready for the fight against insecurity. And, you know, honest conversations must be had, you know, behind closed doors about what exactly is the scheme of things. And don't forget that report that came through by the mainstream media about what was allocated to defense in the 2025 budget and what was released. That's another kettle of fish entirely. And perhaps this suggests, you know, this evidence that is being brought out now as to what is the state of things as far as feeding is concerned in the Nigerian army.
So there you have it. It's a case that we're following, and we'll continue to follow this case to ensure that justice, which is his name, is done in all shades and form. And I want to say the military should stick to one narrative. Is this because of the post about the food? If it is, show us evidence that proves that he is lying. Is this about alleged change of government or whatever? If that is it, put out proof there and say, oh, this is a conversation he had about changing government, subversion or whatever. So let's stick to one storyline, all right? It's as clear as that.
You know, I'm looking at the chat sheet again, guys. It said, which you know, it said, regarding alleged inadequate feeding on Nigerian personnel, which you know the said information to be false, but posted it for the purpose of causing annoyance, ill will, and hatred, especially among the citizens who hold divergent views, and thereby committed an offense contrary to and punishable by under section. I don't know which. I'm trying to see the DSS. I don't understand, because what the DSS is citing here, guys, from what I know about that section, except I'm wrong, is that this section of the Cybercrime Act has been amended. So there's no word like annoyance, ill will, at least annoyance, I'm sure. So why is the DSS citing a repealed portion of the, anyway, I will show you guys that part of the law at some point in the program. But because that's what the problem was. How do you prove annoyance and insult to the judge in court? So they have to amend that part of the law and updated it. And DSS, who filed this case, is citing an old part of the law. Guys, interesting times.
Certainly, and we're not backing down on this. This is a representation for everyone. It's not just for Justice Crack, it's for justice and all of us. But we'll switch gears now and show you just how the dailies are reporting the big stories. In a moment, stay with us. We have joining us in our Lagos studio Mr. Aide Fetayo, as public affairs analyst, journalist as well. Mr. Fetayo, good morning. It's great to see you.
Yeah, same here.
Today we have you in studio.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked about Justice Crack's case, but let's see how the front pages reflect the stories. Vanguard newspaper is where we're starting off from today. As you'd expect, the big story is politics. In fact, it's about registration or no registration. Dixon kicks as Ado vows court action, faults INEC on NDC. All of a sudden, it's no more the ADC, it's now the NDC on the front page. Explainers include NDC claims 10 million members enrolled in 48 hours, holds state congresses. ADC Atiku's camp deny defection talks with NDC. It's a page 5 read, Mr. Fatai. So it's amazing how we've moved. You know, it used to be the Labour Party, then moved to the ADC, now we moved to the NDC.
The new bride, NDC. Anyway, I like the saying of late American president in his inaugural speech, John F. Kennedy, that said that ask not what your country can give to you, ask what you can give to your country. But most of these, our leaders, sometimes when you look at the way they behave, if you say you have intention, the good governance that you want to give to the people is not just about what you can get, it's not about what the system can give to you. Sometimes to win you need to let go some certain things, and we should allow democracy to thrive by allowing opposition, to thrive as well. So like I read account of Dixon yesterday saying that they started this process in 2017, and along the line they abandoned it, then now they pick it up and concluded the whole thing. If you meant well for Nigeria, and if you have the same ideology that we want to give Nigerians, better governance and all of that, is something that you can sit and mediate, give and take. And even some African countries, they practice what they call coalition government. You, because you have so much advantage in this side, maybe you produce the vice presidential candidate, let me bring, those are kind of a thing. Not that at this crucial time you want to go to court, distort an ongoing process and all of that. But claiming 10 million members, well, that's for them to prove when it comes to the time of election. So it's not just about NDC now. What are you going to do differently from the current administration when you have a shot at the presidency? So that should be the conversation.
So again, to reiterate, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Jeffrey Bukala.
Indeed, something to chew on this morning. But let's take a look at the Nigerian Tribune, which also captures all of the politics, from the opening of the week yesterday. But take a look at this one, 2027. I'm taking a look at Nigerian Tribune now. Consensus suffers setback in APC as aspirants dare governors. It's a page 3 read inside Tribune. Senate leader defends Electoral Act, says consensus not sacrosanct. Party extends deadline for sale of forms submission. And so, we also brought this to the attention of the National Publicity Secretary yesterday, and we wonder if some of the responses were satisfactory. Do you foresee more conflict within the ruling APC that has been seen to be, stable amongst all the other parties as a result of this portion of the Electoral Act?
No, there will still be a lot of litigation. There will still be a lot, because there are so many aspirants, and I think the former governor of Cross River, crying out that he was summoned by the presidency high-level meeting and said, please suspend your ambition and all of that. So there will be a lot of people that say no, if my own view cannot be, you can't give me a platform to run. I've been supporting the party at all levels, and now you are saying I should suspend my ambition. And also the governors we are saying we don't want Godfather, and this is just a way of indirectly, imposing a candidate to say this is the person that will go. That means if you are not in a good book of a certain leader, you might not have a taste at, or your ambition might not be realized. So I think they should allow democracy to thrive. It's just only Lagos State they've been able to manage this consensus of a thing, because there's still going to be a lot of litigation, a lot of people even decamping to other parties that if I haven't contributed so far, I haven't supported your ambition, now you are telling me to step aside. You know, I said earlier on, it might not be a coalition government, or even if you are not contesting, okay, don't worry, you provide this or you bring two commissioners, but one person dictating the whole thing, I don't think is good for a democracy or for any particular state.
Oh, okay. You know, no two elections are the same.
Oh, yeah.
Some of us are busy doing some analytics of what will happen and how it will affect the outcome in these particular elections, because no two elections are the same. Let's go to The Guardian. The Guardian is leading with something similar as well. APC consensus feels tension, political alignment nationwide, but I think we've spoken about that. Let's go to the education sector, where NASU SANU protest shut down UI Gate, disrupt activities at ABU Ilorin. And then the big one, NNPC seals fresh deal to revamp this same Port Harcourt Warri refineries after the 2.4 billion naira turnaround maintenance that some people are considered to be a waste. Are we going on another round of wasting our funds? Because this gentleman, Bayo Julari, who is the in charge of the NNPC group CEO, had mentioned that, look, the way it was managed was not right, in the sense that maybe they should have finished it, because I heard them speak to Bloomberg. They should have finished it before they started utilizing that facility. And there were conversations around whether or not they should sell that refinery. So when you hear things like this, without much detail, what do you make of it?
First and foremost, you can't continue to do the same thing and expect different results. It's not today or it's not yesterday they've been doing kind of turnaround maintenance, and we are still getting the same results. And to the best of my knowledge, a technology that was being used or deployed 3 decades, 4 decades ago, thinking it can meet up now. No, somebody did one within the space of 4 years. So if they are telling me that they are bringing the whole thing down and putting a new infrastructure there, so that we can get the refinery can start working and pumping, yes, I will agree with them. But saying because they did not finish it, they did not, it's just a way of wasting taxpayers' money, and we need to be very careful. Also, the first one you mentioned about education, you know, as we say, education is the best legacy that you can bequeath a nation or future generation. But now that our institution, you know, the ecosystem around it, the agreement signed 2009, and we are still going back and forth, I think the government need to do better. After 3 months, we come back to this kind of a thing again. It's not doing us good. And if one of the things, I was in Finland, I think it was voted the best country in the world for 5 consecutive years. One of the key things they look at is the education system. If you are not investing in your education system, if you are not putting enough infrastructure, and the people that mount the system, if their welfare is not being taken care of, it will just be garbage in, garbage out, you know, because they also have a bills to pay. So federal government, if we are to plead or beg you, do these are the things that you must do. Education is very key and is very vital for us to compete or to be regarded as a giant of Africa, as we claim to be.
Oh, there you go. So let's see if we can take just one more, and that's the New Telegraph newspaper. Well, the focus yet again is on politics. No surprises here. Makine's loyalists appoint Turkey as PDP caretaker chair. Faction releases election timetable, pegs presidential nomination form fee at 100 million naira, and Guba at 14 million naira. So it looks like Governor Makinde is sticking to the PDP in spite of and despite whatever is playing out. But I must also reiterate the tension in South Africa. FG lodges formal diplomatic protest against killing of Nigerians in SA, demands autopsy and probe into the murder of 2 citizens. It's a page 2 read. It looks like this, this absurdity is still going on in South Africa in the big 2026. Mr. Fatai.
Yeah, Makinde, I believe in the rule of law. Sometimes it may favor you, sometimes it might not. I think they should allow the rule of law to take its course. I think the next thing I expected them to do is maybe you want to set up a committee. Okay, let's reach out to other side, which the Supreme Court judgment seems to be favored now, and let's see how we can move forward. If it's all about good governance that you are after, it's all about producing, giving APC or whatever a contest during the coming 2027 election. It's not just now that forming a kind of caretaker chair and all of that. It's just like to me, you can't build on a shaky foundation. The court has made a pronouncement, follow it through, reach out to the other party. You can even decide to choose to work for any other party you want to, but I'm not here to tell them that. But forming another PDP caretaker chair, I think it's a flagrant against the court pronouncement. And talking about the South Africa, I think they can do better in terms of we are all ones in Africa. We are on the same continent. It's only in the continent that we are, shielding our borders, for you to, according to a statistic that Africans that we do more business to foreign about 80% thereabout, just we do 20% within ourselves, which is not good. So please, they should do something. They should, they are not doing us a favor, but they are doing African a favor that South African is hospitable. You can come do your business, do your trade and all of that. So your life, your property are secure, which is the primary of any responsible government. And our government should not just talk the talk, they should walk the walk. So that will be my own submission on
so
that.
We'll see just how much pressure the government can put on South African government to ensure that, sanity just reigns supreme. It's a no-brainer, really. But Mr. Fatai, we have to thank you so much, public affairs analyst and journalist. Thank you for your time on the program.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
We'll take a quick break, and when we return, we'll get into the heart of the biggest stories in a moment. Stay with us.
Welcome back, and so let's get straight to our very first conversation, which appears to be something brewing in Delta State, but there's a backstory to it. Recall that towards the end of 2024, the former governor of Delta State, Senator Okowa, was invited by the EFCC and quizzed over allegations of diverting 1.3 trillion naira. Of course, the aides to the former governor spoke to that, saying that nothing could be further from the truth, that the former governor embarked on massive infrastructure development to which the EFCC were invited, to monitor and audit, and they were satisfied by that event, by that, audit of the funds of the commission. But not long after, we also saw that the former governor defected from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressives Congress. And since then, nothing has been heard about the invitation of the former governor of Delta State. But a group has since arisen, to demand that the EFCC rearrests the former governor and, of course, tries him for those allegations. And so joining us on the program this morning to speak on behalf of that group is Mr. Ofochi Atagana, convener of Coalition of Delta North Groups, who joins us from our Abuja studio. Mr. Atagana, good morning and welcome to the Morning Brief.
Oh, good morning, thank you.
Now, I'm looking through some of your demands as contained in your letter written to the EFCC, and let me just read from some of them. We issue a 7-day ultimatum to the EFCC to effect the arrest and arraignment of Senator Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa. Should the commission fail to meet the demand at the expiration of the 7-day ultimatum, the Coalition of Delta North Youths will have no option but to mobilize the Delta State Youth to occupy the EFCC headquarters. So that is your resolve. Let's start from this particular point. Perhaps you also want to tell us why the Delta North Youth is now rising to, reopen this case nearly a year after the EFCC initially quizzed the former Delta governor.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. For us, we feel there's no better time to call on the EFCC to reopen the case because a few months ago, I was a victim. I was a victim of the alleged diversion of the 1.3 trillion naira and another 40 billion naira as alleged by the EFCC against the person of Dr. Okowa, the former governor of Delta State. Why do I say I was a victim? I'm a Deltan. I come from Delta North, precisely. And my mother took ill a few months ago. I sent her to the hospital. There was no doctor. There was no doctor. Before then, my little niece was sick. The same issue happened. And this same person who had the opportunity to utilize the revenue that came to Delta State, especially the 13% derivation, he had the opportunity of using it to fix infrastructure, employ medical personnel, but he never did. This is somebody that is coming from the health sector because Dr. Okowa is a medical doctor, but he never did all of this. So, looking at this time, this same person is presenting himself again to represent us at the Senate. And to me, I was like, wait a minute. You had the opportunity to develop our area, to utilize the resources that came to us, that accrue to us, being oil producing state. But you never did. How then should we allow you to go and represent us again? And I began to investigate. Alongside some of my comrades, we began to investigate and we got good intelligence that the EFCC have concluded, they have concluded investigation against Dr. Okowa, and they have watertight case against him. But because of, like we were told some time ago by one of the leaders of the APC that when you defect to the ruling party, the APC, your sins are forgiven. And to us, it shouldn't be that because the APC as a political party, they came to power on the promise to fight corruption. So when we now have somebody who has been indicted to have misappropriated or diverted a whooping sum of 1.3 trillion naira and another 40 billion naira which he cannot account for, defecting from the People's Democratic Party to the APC, and from then henceforth the matter seemed to have died to us. That is unacceptable. If we are serious as a country, ready to fight corruption, the APC should not be a haven for the accused persons to hide. And for me, APC, knowing the manifesto of the APC is not a party that shields criminals. Therefore, Dr. Okowa, being a member of the APC, should not be shielded if we are serious about the fight against graft.
Mr.
So to me, being a victim, I think the EFCC, having concluded investigation, should, and I say, they should rearrest Dr. Okowa and arraign him. That is the simple demand we have made.
Mr. Takana.
I don't have anything against the person. I don't have anything, just a moment. I don't have anything against the person of Okowa, but the issue I have is the issue of corruption. corruption. And like the late President Muhammad Buhari said, if we do not fight corruption, corruption will kill us as a country. So the earlier we take up this issue, the better. I am a stakeholder. I am an indigene of Delta State. And
all right.
I am an indigene, particularly of Delta North.
All right.
Thank you so much.
You say your agitation has been born out of the rot that you have seen in the health sector, and you are disheartened because the former governor himself is a doctor, and you waited a year and a year and a half before coming through, with this renewed call for the arrest of the former governor. Wasn't this,
like I said,
wasn't this, hold on, let me land, hold on. Didn't you observe this, didn't your group, discover this rot in the health sector in Delta State in 2024 when the governor was arrested by the EFCC? And why didn't you follow through all of this time with the arrest to investigate and discover whatever it is that you have discovered now, such that the justice system would have at least begun at that time?
Okay, thank you. Like I said, yeah, I have been aware. I have been aware of Dr. Fanny's arrest and detention precisely on November 4th, 2024. I have been aware, but I never, yeah, I think I should take responsibility because it never hits me, because I never saw a reason. To me, I felt the due process of the law should have its course. But it didn't affect me personally until about 2 or 3 months ago. Until about 2 or 3 months ago, when my own mother could not access health care in a state where somebody is alleged to have misappropriated 1.3 trillion naira and another 40 billion naira, to put it in perspective. So I didn't quite feel it that much. Then what further piqued my interest to say, hold on, this same person has an allegation against him. Is he the best that Delta North have? Is he the best that we can put forth there to say represent us? And to me, he's not the best. He should go and clear himself of the allegation against him before he can. You see, we the Delta Northerners, we the Anambra people, we are proud people, and we have people who are eminently qualified with no iota of crime
Mr. Tagana, if I may come in.
linked to them.
Yes, Mr. Tagana, if I may come in.
So
Just a moment.
to us,
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, sir?
yeah, I can hear you. Go on. Yeah, go on.
First, I empathize with you over the inability of your mom to be able to get the kind of quality health care she was supposed to get. I think she deserves better. On the other hand,
thank you.
On the other hand, is the fact that it may be, you can correct me if I'm wrong, your part of the town is where what he did for the state has not gotten to or did not get to. I don't know whether this is the testimony of the entire...
I beg to differ. I am sorry for butting in.
Can you just hold on? Can you just hold on, please? Just hold on, so that I can land with my question. I don't think, I don't know whether everybody in Delta will say he didn't do anything. Now, let's stay with the issue. First, he's not a criminal.
It cuts across.
Yes. First, he's not a criminal because there's no court that has found him to be a criminal. So I needed to correct that impression.
Alleged.
Gentleman, Mr. Tagana, can you calm down?
Okay, go on.
All right. So, first is an allegation. That's on one hand. So, is this really about calling on the EFCC to do their work, or this is about politics? Are you being funded to come and do what you're doing on TV?
I will say with all sense of responsibility that I am not partisan. I am not a card-carrying member of any political party, and I say this again, anybody can run background check on me. I am not being funded. As far as I'm concerned, I come from a block I come from an area that has been completely abandoned. I come from the Ndokwa Okwani Federal Constituency. We produce so much oil. We have huge deposit of gas, but the development there is abysmal. In fact, there is no single development in all of the communities that make up Ndokwa Okwani Federal Constituency. In fact, there was a post from the verified Facebook handle of Dr. Okowa, then as governor of Delta State, precisely on 21st of October 2019, wherein he stated that he just arrived China. What was the purpose? He said it was to meet investors for the Kwale Industrial Park. Kwale Industrial Park. And he said Kwale Industrial Park will provide job opportunities for around 70,000 Deltans. As I speak to you, send your investigative journalists, send your colleagues to go to Kwale and ask and find out and investigate if there is a functional Kwale Industrial Park. Mind you, it was reported that Dr. Okowa's government budgeted 800 million naira as compensation to those whose lands were acquired, and another $10 billion, somewhere around $10 billion as counterpart fund for 25% equity in that same Kwale Industrial Park.
Mr. Takana, I think the point is noted. Just a moment, because of time, we don't have the luxury of time. So let me throw in this before my colleague comes in. If Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, who is a former governor of Delta State, if he wasn't running for, and I respect the fact that a citizen will take up this case to the EFCC to say, EFCC, how far? You should have done your work. That's commendable. But my question is, if he didn't show interest in running for the senatorial seats in the Delta North now, would you have approached the EFCC?
I pretty well would have approached the EFCC because, like I said, it didn't occur to me. It didn't, because I have been probably I will take responsibility for staying aloof, being apolitical, staying away from politics, until it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking that people so close to me could not. I know how much I had to spend for them to get access to healthcare outside of Ukwani land, outside of Ndokwa, the federal constituency. We had to go and source for healthcare services elsewhere. Right. Meanwhile, someone who incidentally comes from the health sector was a governor, and not just a governor. Senator Okowa doesn't come from Delta Central. He doesn't come from Delta South. He comes from my senatorial district, the Delta North Central District. Yet he failed us woefully.
All right.
He failed us woefully.
And you have a right.
Whether he had contested or not, I still would have petitioned the EFCC to find out.
Right.
Because at that time, he had not declared.
Well, Mr.
He had not declared.
You certainly have a right to express yourself. You're a citizen and someone who is closely impacted by the governance of the former governor. So, I mean, nobody's taking that from you. But you'll understand why there are questions around the motive why you're doing this. He announces, even before he announced, or he made the announcement, a lot of people already saw that coming, right? So people are thinking, who may be possibly responsible for this? And that's how people think. It's a natural thing. They try to connect the dots. So they think, okay, he has announced he wants to run for senatorial seat, Delta North, who's going to be threatened the most? And they look around, they say, oh, wait a minute, there's Senator Ned Nwoko, who's occupying that seat right now. He's going to be threatened naturally, and that's a natural thing. There's even the former Delta State House of Assembly Speaker, Victor Che, on the wings as well. But then they're zeroing on Senator Ned Nwoko because they see that he's a prominent figure, he's represented the people. And if you naturally look at both of you, what is the link? You are supporting the creation of Anioma State. He's also supporting the creation of Anioma State. So you'd understand again why people are wondering, are you being sponsored by him to do this? Is there something that we do not know that is playing out here? So again, that question has come up. So have you had conversations in recent times?
If I'm a button.
No, it's your floor now. Your floor is yours now.
Okay. Now, until we stop politicizing every noble cause in this country, we will still continue to struggle as a people. There is no doubt. It is within my right. It is within my right to agitate for the creation of Anioma State, just as it is within the right of Okowa to aspire to any office in this country. The Constitution is very clear about that. But to say Senator Nwoko is funding me, that is preposterous. That, for me, is preposterous. Because Senator Nwoko didn't know me. I didn't know him. As a matter of fact, the issue around Anioma State, on the contrary, I can speak confidently because I was the first person to draft the memorandum for the creation of Anioma State. And I went with my colleagues to the House of Representatives to submit the memorandum. I have the documents. The documents are there. At that time, Senator Ned didn't even think of Anioma State. But after we have submitted the memorandum for the creation of Anioma State, I stand to be quoted. You can quote me anywhere. After we had submitted the memorandum, I called my comrades and I said, listen, this memorandum will just die naturally if we do not have someone at the National Assembly pushing it for us. At that time, we began to make plans. Who do we approach? We began to look for ways to approach the three members representing the three federal constituencies that make up Delta North. They were literally not accessible. Then we decided to say, okay, let us see if we can access Senator Ned Nwoko. And of course, we were able to access him. At that time, I was not part of those who visited him. But when we finally got talking, he gave us his word. He said, okay, if this is what I represent you, if this is what you want, I will in response to the demands of you people who I represent, I will take this up.
So you're confirming.
So Anioma State creation, although
Mr. Tagana, just a moment.
Politicized,
so you're confirming that you've had conversations with him, you've had meetings with him, you have a relationship with him.
But that does not. You see, we should not. Excuse me. We should not divert attention from the substance of the corruption allegation that has been leveled against the person of Dr. Okowa. I am a prominent agitator. I'm a critical agitator for the creation of Anioma State. You cannot use that. Are we now saying that because I have been agitating for Anioma State and Senator Ned has been the one pushing for Anioma State, are we now saying that that is sufficient to water down the corruption allegation or the criminal allegation that has been leveled against Dr. Okowa? Are we now saying that exculpates Okowa? No. Let him go and answer for the allegation. Nobody should politicize this. Otherwise, we will end up chasing
Mr. Tagana.
How do I put it? Chasing shadows. We end up chasing shadows in the name of fighting corruption. If we are serious as a people to fight corruption, we should be able to separate between a legitimate agitation for state creation and corruption. The fight against
Mr. Tagana.
We should not mingle them together. Thank you.
You're confirming now that indeed you know Senator Senator Ned Nwoko, that you have had interactions.
Nobody from Anioma,
but moments ago,
from Anioma who does not know him.
But moments ago, you denied knowing him.
I didn't deny knowing him. I said he doesn't be prior to that.
No, moments ago, you said you had never had interactions with him, that you didn't know him.
No, you can't misquote me. I said prior to the agitation for Anioma State, he never knew me. I never knew him. What brought us together is the agitation for Anioma State, because the agitation for Anioma State has been on. So in fact, it predates Senator Ned. It predates me. But like I told you, I was the person that drafted the memorandum. I drafted the memorandum for the creation of Anioma State. So Anioma State is not going to be, you cannot use Anioma State agitation to water down the huge allegation against Senator Okowa. We cannot politicize that allegation. Senator Okowa has been indicted. The EFCC, I'm calling on the EFCC to rearrest him and arraign him. That is what we should be talking about.
Mr. Tagana.
Anioma State.
Mr. Tagana.
Different issues.
Yes, indeed. So in the race for 2027, for the senatorial ticket for Delta North, who do you believe is better suited to secure that ticket? Senator Okowa or Senator Ned Nwoko?
Like I said,
no, it's a straightforward question.
For me to decide.
It's a straightforward question.
It is not for me to decide. My answering is that it is not for me. My interest is not about who goes to the Senate to represent us. My interest is on the indictment of Senator Dr. Ifeanyi Ato Okowa.
All right.
He needs to be rearrested and arraigned. That is my interest. I don't care if he goes to the National Assembly, so long as he is rearrested and arraigned. I don't care if he goes to the. This is within his right. He has constitutional right to go to represent us. If we the people decide that if we elect him to represent us, that is, I don't have interest about whether
Mr. Tagana, Mr. Tagana
is the person or he.
Yes, we have more questions for you, so just hang on there. But we have joining us now the former governor's representative to speak to some of these issues that you have raised. Jeffrey, you have that one.
Mr. Ifejika is the Chief Press Secretary to former Governor Ifeanyi Okowa. Mr. Ifejika, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
I want to believe you've been listening to Mr. Tagana. So just as a recap of what he said he wasn't really interested in all of this because we've asked him several questions whether he's politically motivated. He's denied that flat. He said his mother was sick and he wanted to get some health care for his mom, but because Senator Okowa allegedly did not do what he should do as governor, he couldn't get that quality of health care for his mom. And he said, look, widespread within where it comes from, there's no representation of anything to hold on to under Senator Okowa's leadership as governor. And he's worried that as it has affected him as citizen, and he found out that the EFCC has leveled allegations that has to do with money against the former governor, and they're now silent, suspecting that maybe he's going to join the APC. Say, no, we need to get to the bottom of the case. How do you respond to all of this?
Thank you very much. First, I want to feel that Mr. Tagana doesn't live in Delta State. Because if he lived in Delta State, he would have known how much was done in the health sector by Senator Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa when he held through as governor. For a start, as a senator then, way back between 2011-2015, before he became governor, Senator Okowa led the pact that sponsored the bill for what we have today as National Health Act. And as governor, he domesticated everything in that bill that became law. And in this state, we do not only have a robust health service that takes care of the vulnerable. What I mean vulnerable now, the pregnant women, under 5 children, and all of that, free medical services. And to give these services to the people, he ensured that the centers, all health centers, hospitals, were upgraded to meet these services. And if Mr. Tagana, that he claims that he is from Delta, there was another angle to the health services that was in this state a health insurance scheme that costs an individual only 7,000 naira per annum for anybody to access health care. 7,000 naira health insurance. So if he could not pay that to avail health service for his mother, I wonder where he went to. So Senator Okowa was one man that provided services all over the place in Delta, apart from the teaching hospital that we have in Ogara. The next good one is in Warri. I don't know where he lives in Delta, because he didn't even say which hospital he took his mother to that there was no service. He didn't tell us until we didn't ask him. Well, we needed to know where he took his mother to, that there was no health service. He didn't say that. And I imagine that let me say this. It's obvious from the questions you asked him that he's a jobber. He's working for a paymaster, no doubt about it. Elections are here. Senator Okowa left office close to 3 years ago, and he's talking about his services now. And taking it to Okowa, there's Okowa that didn't provide the services on the avenues. Of course, you know what that means. It's because of election. And I know that during the elections, we talk about thuggery. Thuggery, people attacking people, carrying ballot boxes. But we cannot say that we're witnessing an era of thuggery in social media, thuggery on the tubes. That's exactly what he's doing. I'm sorry to say all of this because it's obvious that he has come here because the election is here.
Well, he has denied that he's doing any of this for politics, and he has a right.
No. What I'm trying to
pardon
say,
me, let me land. He has denied that he's doing this for politics. In fact, we asked him who does he want, and he says no, he's not doing it for politics, and that's what we should cultivate in Nigeria. Citizens have a right to say, well, this government didn't do this or failed to do this when it was in power, and it promised me this, and for that reason I think that this particular government or governor or whoever should be probed, should be investigated, and we should have the law take its full course. But you know, you raised some points. Let's quickly go back to Mr. Tagana to respond to some of the points you made. Mr. Tagana.
Thank you so much. You see, when a politician like Mr. Ifeajika comes on air to misinform the people, I laugh. I laugh because he is conflicted. Someone who is working for Dr. Okowa cannot come here and say otherwise. I come from Obiaroko. Listen, this is not conjecture. This is not mere allegation. I challenge any investigative journalist to go through the whole of Delta State and investigate how many doctors are in the general hospitals. The Obiaroko General Hospital in my community has no doctor. So this is not about whether Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, when he was senator, he sponsored a bill or not. These are mumbo jumbo. This is mumbo jumbo. You cannot. You see. We should not make bogus claims on air. We are supposed to let the people know the facts. The fact is that there are no doctors. That is why the current government of Oborowori is attempting to recruit doctors. If they were doctors, if Dr. Okowa recruited doctors into the public hospitals in Delta State, why will Governor Sheriff Oborowori be doing the same thing? Less than 3 years. Less than 3. The fact is, there are no doctors in the public hospitals. So we should not come here and misinform people that, yes, that was his duty as a legislator. He wasn't in the Senate. He wasn't in the Senate in 2011 to 2015 just to make up the numbers. He was there to ensure that he sponsors bill. And being a medical doctor, coming from the medical sector, that was the least he would have done. But for somebody to come on air is a pity. It's a pity that we have characters like this as leaders. Honestly, it's a pity, because you should, as a leader, you should come to here and educate your people rightly and not try to politicize everything. I know to Mr. Fejika, everything is politics. But to me, I am not a politician. Like he rightly said, he has not seen my face in the Delta State politics beyond Anioma State agitation.
Yes, pardon me. Deltans who are watching this would be the ones to decide whether this is about politics or not. They would have to draw from your comments and that of Mr. Fejika. Mr. Fejika, I'm sure that you want to respond to some of the things that Mr. Tagana has said about the health sector in Delta North. But help us also understand how and why since 2024, when the EFCC invited Senator Dr. Okowa for questioning over alleged diversion of 1.3 trillion naira derivation funds, I believe another 40 billion naira claimed he used to acquire shares in UTM, floating liquefied natural gas. And of course, another 40 billion naira used to purchase shares in major banks in the country. These are weighty allegations. So why has the EFCC not followed through since 2024 and given Nigerians a clear direction over whether the former governor has a case to answer and whether there should have been a commencement of a trial?
First, let's go back a bit to the health issue, because it took my question for him to say where he is from in Delta State. He just said that he took his mother to a hospital in Obiaroko in Okowa. We don't know when he did that, whether it was this year, last year, or some years back. But it's on record that Okowa, as a medical doctor, gave special attention to the health sector. In 2019 alone, no less than 500 health workers, including medical doctors, were employed. And all hospitals had this personnel working. If because of the drift, people leaving this country because of economy, and the present administration is employing new doctors, it means that both the former administration and the new administration is concerned about the health sector. That they found that people left, nurses and doctors, and Sheriff Oboro's administration is employing more. Senator Dr. Okowa employed no less than 200 doctors in his time. 500 health workers in all were employed. So we didn't lack the medical personnel at all. And it's only Delta, like I said, he didn't say when he took his mother to the hospital. It's only Delta I'm hearing for the first time talking about no services in our hospitals. So to EFCC, I don't know what he's talking about. Though he said, let me tell you guys what you may not have known. On Thursday last week, this same character was on TVC. If he could not afford good medical services for his mother, and he says he's not working for somebody, how is he be able to fund his being on national television, moving from one national television to another, yet he couldn't take his mother to a good hospital? He couldn't pay 7,000 naira.
It's important to, pardon me, let me just set the record straight. I can speak for Channels Television. This interaction is not paid for in any way. This is us raising issues that must be spoken about. All right, so just to clear that, I don't know what happens elsewhere, but right here on Channels Television, you cannot do that, and we don't do that. So please, you can land on your point.
No, what I'm saying, traveling alone, I'm not saying that he paid you, traveling alone, maybe by air, by road, moving from Obiaroko to Lagos, is something. He would have been able to pay just 7,000 per annum for healthcare for his mother. That's the point I was making. In any case, for EFCC, this is a rehash. He said 2024. Okowa in the first place was never arrested or detained. The man was on vacation outside this country with an invitation came from EFCC. And when he returned, he went there as a law-abiding Nigerian, a gentleman that he is. He went to EFCC himself and spent one night just because of his statement in responding to the allegations in the petitions that were brought before him. So that was not detention. When he finished making his statement, he was allowed to leave. He came back to Asaba. And when on his return, we came out with a statement in that November 2024. A statement that today, the statement gave an account of receipts, revenue that came to the state and expenditure. Till this date, it has not been controverted by anybody. It has not. That statement we came out with in November 2024 hasn't been controverted till today. EFCC has been allowed to do their job. Senator Dr. Okowa said, I am not afraid of being investigated. I'm not shying away. He has never left Delta State. He lives in Delta. Not to talk about those who live outside, they can go to Dubai and do what to stay. Okowa lives in Asaba, in Delta State. He has not gone anywhere. He's not afraid of any investigation. I said so. If EFCC has investigated, because he's making it as if first he said EFCC alleged. EFCC does not allege anything against anybody. This is an anti-graft.
And Mr. Fejika, less than 6 months after that invitation, Dr. Okowa defects to the All Progressives Congress, and then more than a year after that, we haven't heard anything about that case raised by the FCC anymore.
How does that concern Dr. Okowa or myself? EFCC had the liberty to do investigation. If they've concluded an invitation, when you conclude invitation as an investigation agency, the next is a charge to court. If you find issues that will go to court, if you don't find any issues, it's your business. So I expect him to have gone to EFCC to say, what is the position of this case? But to come on national television saying that Dr. Okowa must be rearrested, must be detained, must be arraigned. It's like giving instruction to EFCC. EFCC has done its work since 2024.
Yeah.
They've done their investigations. If they have concluded, which we don't know, if they've concluded, it behoves on EFCC either to charge the matter to court or to let it be. It's their own business, not Mr. Tagana's business.
Yeah, sadly, the absent third party to this conversation, which is the FCC, is not here. So this is a direct invitation to the FCC to also, provide clarity on the case against Senator Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa. But we must anchor the conversation at this point, and thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming to put light to these issues. Mr. Ofochi Atagana is a convener, Coalition of Delta North Youths, who has joined us from our Abuja studio. And we've also had Mr. Olisa Ifejika, Chief Press Secretary to former Governor Ifeanyi Okowa. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming on the morning brief.
Thank you for having me this morning.
Thank you. We'll take a moment now. When we return, there's more politics to come. The People's Democratic Party Board of Trustees has inaugurated an interim national working committee to pilot the affairs of the party. What does that mean, especially for 2027? Stay with us for details just ahead.
Welcome back. This is the season of primaries and convention. Well, a lot of the parties have actually had their national convention, so season of primaries. But it looks like the PDP, their festering problem never comes to an end. The reason we thought that maybe the Supreme Court judgment that actually nullified the Ibadan Convention should have just put, the crisis to an end, and they will look for a way to reconcile. But that seemed to be far from the reality, because as we speak, the Makinde group, led by Governor Makinde of Oyo State, has actually set up an interim national working committee. And the reason for that, led by Tamini Turaki, who was elected in November in Ibadan, that election was nullified. Their reason is simple, that there was a case at the appeal court level, maybe made it to the Supreme Court level, where the issue of the suspension of Samayanwo, Mr. Ajibade, who is SAN, who was the national legal advisor of the party, and several other persons by the NWC, headed by Mr. Ilyas Udamago, the former chairman of the party, was for 30 days, but within those times they were suspended. Persons like Ms. Ayawa and Ms. Ajibade went on to actually counter-suspend and took actions that snowballed into what is now the Abdurrahman-led leadership of the People's Democratic Party. And so that case went all the way to the appeal court, I think to the Supreme Court, and they are saying, well, if the Supreme Court has nullified, the Sheyi Makinde group of the PDP now, if the Supreme Court has nullified the Ibadan Convention and also upheld the position of the Court of Appeals showing that there is no record that shows that the suspended members as at that time were reinstated, then whatever action they took that may have snowballed or cascaded into a national convention that brought them a substantive leadership of the PDP in March this year is null and void. So to that extent, the PDP has no leadership. They now appointed, handed over the party to the BOT. The BOT has now appointed, through NEC, an interim national working committee. So in few months, PDP has had a national working committee, PDP has had caretaker national working committee, PDP has also had interim national working committee. It's an interesting party. Let's see what we can make of this conversation. Chinwe Norom is the PDP National Director of Publicity. She joins us from Abuja studio. Ms. Norom, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you very much, and good morning, Nigeria.
Mrs. Norom, my apologies.
Good morning to...
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, my apologies, please. So let's talk about what has played out so far. I tried to synopsize what has played out in terms of the crisis in your party. What's your position on this latest development of an interim national working committee of the People's Democratic Party?
Well, as an agent of the organization People's Democratic Party, I would like to state unequivocally that this morning I'm not here to apportion blame to who was right or wrong, but to say that at this moment, the crisis, the leadership crisis in the PDP is laid to rest by the Supreme Court of Nigeria. This is so because the issue of suspension that is being peddled that have arisen to the Interim National Working Committee of 2 days back is what's the narrative that I would like to correct as an insider. The issue of suspension arose on 1st of November 2025 after the Federal High Court judgment of Justice James Omotosho. And at that very court, suspension was not part of the issue as it had not taken place. It took place on the 1st, and according to the constitution of the party and also according to the National Working Committee, relying on 57(3) of the constitution of the People's Democratic Party, suspended those affected officers for 1 month, which is 30 days. In effect, it was to run from 1st of November to 30th November. So by 1st of December, those officers were supposed to be free of it. Yes, there is also part of that constitution that says the affected officers were to meet the National Disciplinary Committee. Having said that, I'd like to mention the issue that has brought about cross-appeal on all these narratives in the past few days. In this Governor Sule Lamido's case, before Justice Peter Lifu of the Federal High Court, the issue of suspension was an additional, was canvassed by Uche SAN, who is the counsel to Turaki-led group. At that time, they had filed it as an additional evidence to show that Chris Uche SAN can represent Turaki-led because of the suspension, the ongoing suspension at that time. And the judge allowed them to present the appeal based on the fact that Article 42 that gives National Legal Advisor the powers to represent the party, and only he can also bequeath that power or donate it to whoever he wants to represent the party. At that time, the court held that since he is in suspension, according to the filing of Chief Chris Uchesan, he took the brief after the suspension was given. And based on that, the judge allowed him to present the matter. And after that, at the Court of Appeal, the justices, the three justices, held in the first appeal of Governor Lamido, acknowledging that suspension, acknowledging that is passed by natural time, and then at the same time dismissed it. But the issue now came up in the second appeal of the October 31st of Barrister Austin Nwachukwu and the PDP. The justices, on their own wisdom, that's by sumoto, brought about that same issue of suspension while handling the issue of the October 31st, and also acknowledged that it was not contested and therefore upheld this, the dismissal of it. At the Supreme Court then, because when we talk about cross appeals, we are talking about an appellee who is dissatisfied with the lower court's decision on an issue. So the National Legal Advisor team appealed to the Supreme Court in that cross appeal, saying that the lower court, the justices of the lower court, has erred in bringing about that issue of suspension on the second motion, which had to do with the October 31st judgment. Based on that, the Supreme Court looked at the matter again and upheld the dismissal of that appeal, and also dismissed the cross appeal, and went straight into the main matter to deliver its judgment. So the determination of the judgment of the Supreme Court were based purely on two judgments that were against the Turaki-led group.
So madam,
that's the October 31st.
Just a moment. I'm happy you late. So
yes,
let's state the fact. The Supreme Court dismissed the appeal because according to the person who filed the appeal, it was so moto, and for them, they were wrong in law. So the Supreme Court dismissing the appeal means that whatever happened at the lower court, at this time the appellate court, subsists. Is that what it means?
Passed by time, yes.
It subsists, right?
No. No, what it simply means is that it has faced a friction of time based on 30 days that it's supposed to hold.
Is that your own interpretation?
And by natural passing of time.
Is that your own interpretation? Because that's not what they hold, that it subsists. If an appeal went to the higher courts and they dismissed that appeal, that means that whatever happened at the lower court subsists. Isn't that what it is in law? Or am I wrong here?
No, but I'm saying that the main appeal, which was cross appeal, both of them were dismissed. They were all dismissed, and the Supreme Court
you're not answering my question,
that is
madam.
now an academic. What is your question?
I'm just asking a simple question. A case went to the Supreme Court. An appeal went to the Supreme Court. It was dismissed. That means whatever happened at the lower court, this time the appellate court, subsists. Let's not debate about whether it's academic or not. Subsist is the word I'm looking for here. Am I wrong?
I would rather take that your question from the point I had made already, that it was an affidavit that came up as an extra filing to the case at the Court of Appeal to allow the appellant the right to appeal. And then the justices held and allowed them to appeal. And then looking at the substance of the appeal, which is already passed by time, dismissed it. But I said the wrong thing that happened was bringing it into the second motion, which the appellant did not in any way added to his filing, which is the case of Austin Nwachukwu of the Justice Omotosho's court. They did not add it, but the lower court in Court of Appeal added it. So the Court of Appeal came up based on that fact that the people involved are now saying that the Court of Appeal has erred in bringing it into this matter, even though it's passed by time. And Supreme Court, looking at it, also admitted that fact, that is passed by time, and both appeal and cross-appeal were dismissed. So,
all right. Yeah, Mrs. Norum.
The judgment was determined based on the main appeal.
Mrs.
And
Norum.
said that, let me also add.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me add that based on the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and that of the party, ESCOs run for 4 years. We are talking about issues that happened in 2021 to 2025 ESCO, and not the present. So those officers involved by the Constitution have the right to revive for the same position, which they did at the convention in Ibadan and emerge. So the two issues cannot be running together. The ESCO does not run in continuity. It runs in 4-year term. I want that point to be very well made, that the matters that involved in that suspension happened in the last ESCO of Senator Iyachayo, Ambassador Damagu, and Senator Anyanwu's led ESCO. This particular ESCO currently is Honorable Abdurrahman's led ESCO with Senator Anyanwu. The two ESCOs are not the same. So we have been overlapping it in conversations and narratives, and this is where the issue lies. So I am bringing that out now so that the public will know that there's no how there can be a carryover of that to a new ESCO.
All right.
It's the point I want to make.
Mrs. Zuno, the Makinde-led group would rather believe that that appeal subsists, and not quoting copiously the words of Mr. Ememobong, according to reports now, National Publicity Secretary of the new Interim National Working Committee, he says that the Supreme Court did not find any contrary evidence that apart from the suspension issued on Anyanwu, Ajibade and others, that there was any other letter indicating their recall back into the group apart from that suspension, and therefore that suspension stands. And according to them now, there is a vacuum in leadership in the People's Democratic Party, and ideally the Board of Trustees should take over the affairs of the party. And the Board of Trustees, based on your constitution, can you identify for us what dates that they took over so that we can know whether indeed, according to your party's constitution, they are the ones that should take over the leadership of the party? I mean the Adolphus Wabara-led Board of Trustees of the PDP. What is their tenure?
Thank you very much for that question. For emphasis again, the Court of Appeal, in acknowledging that suspension, equally acknowledged that it was not contested. It was also acknowledged in that Court of Appeal that that suspension was to run for 30 days. Because Section 57(3) made it clear that any ESCO at any level can only be suspended after a preliminary hearing for 30 days and then be directed to National Disciplinary Committee. I need to draw that out. The Court of Appeal held that it is not contested. It is not contested, which means both parties allow the passage of time on that suspension. So I'm wondering how the suspension still subsists. More so, let us not forget that ESCO that suspended these officers that NWC members submitted themselves to Ibadan for dissolution on 16th of November 2025 at Ibadan Convention. So that means Why the suspension was running at the 16th day, the power that granted that suspension submitted itself to dissolution at the Ibadan National Convention.
But
So these officers,
the Makinde group is not contesting the Ibadan suspension anymore. They have acknowledged that suspension, and that's why they have gone ahead.
I'm not talking about Ibadan Convention. I'm talking about that 30 days convention to those officers. I said the powers that suspended them, the suspension issue, the power that suspended them, the NWC, submitted themselves to dissolution of their powers at that Ibadan National Convention. That's the point I'm making. I'm not talking about Ibadan Convention. Right. And then these officers allowed the passage of time. And by 7, because their tenure was to elapse on 9th of December 2025. So on 7th of December, they constituted a caretaker, because if they just walk away, there will be vacuum in leadership. And to avoid vacuum in leadership, they constituted that caretaker committee on the 7th of December. So I'm surprised when I'm seeing some letter flying around with pseudo signatures that the caretaker was constituted on November 3rd, while the suspension was running. I don't know where that is coming from. But the committee was constituted on 7th of December, and the INEC records are there to confirm the constitution, the committee emergence.
So I'm going to walk you through publicly available records, so we're not lost in all of this. So the suspension happened, you say, on November the 1st. But on November the 3rd, and I'm going to read this, there was heavy security presence at the national headquarters of the PDP as former Vice Chairman, PDP North Central, Mr. Abdurrahman Mohammed, resumed as the party's acting national chairman. Mr. Mohammed and his supporters had earlier gathered at the FCT office of the PDP. He addressed them that he will be taking over as the acting national chairman. Again, this is November the 3rd, that period where Mr. Anyanwu was suspended, and that was, of course, agreed to by the court. But I won't stop there.
According to
it goes on. It's not this happened. This is publicly available record. But I'm not done. It goes on to say Mr. Abdurrahman was declared acting national chairman of the PDP by the Samuel Anyanwu-led National Working Committee after, you remember that they announced the counter suspension of Umar Damagum and the National Publicity Secretary Debo Ologunagba, and I'm sure you remember that. So this is not conjecture. This is what happened November the 3rd, 2025, the period within which he was suspended.
So, and the point I am making in earnest is that the National Caretaker Committee then came on board officially on 7th of December.
No, the announcement was made on November the 3rd, and I just read it to you. In fact, they announced and they said it, Mr. Anyanwu was there. So that's why they're saying all the actions that were taken during that period are now null and void, which is why the BOT says, well, we're going to take over. And now we have this interim National Working Committee. Madam, I think it's clear and straightforward here.
I don't know what is clear and straightforward there, except the fact that there were disputes by two groups. Actions and inactions were taken. And those actions and inactions that were taken, the Court of Appeal upheld that it was not contested. That means it was not canvassed in any court of the law. So I am talking about the issues that are canvassed in the court of the law now.
No, it's clear. So the court upheld, pardon me, madam, the court upheld Mr. Samuel Anyawu's suspension. Do you agree with that?
Yes, for the 30 days, yes.
Fantastic. Now, 2 days into the 30 days, this happened where Mr. Mohammed and his supporters said that they will be taking over as the acting national chairman. He was declared acting national chairman by Mr. Samuel Anyanwu, who at that point was suspended. So, do you agree that makes that whole process null and void? Because that's what the court said.
I think you're trying to put it to the fact that we need to now canvass the disputes that happened.
No, I'm giving you the fact.
Before the court.
I'm giving you the fact.
I am also talking with the fact.
So do you agree that this happened November the 3rd? Do you agree that this happened November the 3rd?
As far as I'm concerned, what the law recognizes is the fact that the National Caretaker Committee came on board on 7th of December to ensure that there's no vacuum in leadership.
But madam, I'm
I'm
quoting for you what they said. What is record? They said that we are taking. This is November the 3rd.
That's what, no, that's what they said. And I am talking about what the Court of Appeal, I'm talking about what the Court of Appeal dealt with and upheld. So we are now, the party is breathing on ligneous oxygen since, for several months. Let's not forget that on 18th of December 2025, the INEC, which is the registrar and monitor of political parties, held that there is equity leadership in PDP, which means there is equal leadership. No recognition to Turaki-led, no recognition to Abdurrahman-led. This was INEC position.
Right, the Turaki-led group said about...
Law,
right. No, you've explained that, and I'm giving you the facts. The facts are the facts. They're sacred. But, you know, the Turaki group said that they've described you as APC apologists, masquerading as PDP members, and they say that, well, you deny the truth and then try to rationalize the truth. But this is a very deep one. Describe you as APC apologists.
With all due respect, times are passing. Events are happening. We know by observation what is correct or not, because defending the party and actions are not the same calls for reasoning. For instance, we had some governors before this whole accusations came up, and now most of them are in APC. How can those who are still in PDP be those who are destroying the party? Like I said, I did mention when I started, I said I'm not here to apportion blame on who is right or wrong, but to simply say that political party is a product of the Constitution, is a product of law, is run by rules, is governed by law. My simply take here is we have gone through the processes of litigations out of the Supreme Court. And let's not forget that the Federal High Court in Ibadan made a pronouncement that is still standing to today. And that pronouncement was what relieved the equity leadership of PDP and handed it over to Abdurrahman-led. And that suit was brought about by Turaki-led to the Federal High Court, seeking an order of mandamus. That is a compelling order to INEC and unnecessary agencies
if I may come in because of time.
And the Abdurrahman-led also joined that suit. And the judge dismissed the case of Turaki-led and rather granted that compelling order to Abdurrahman-led to lead the party until another convention. Let's not forget that. And that judgment is still subsisting.
All right, madam, we're totally out of time.
It has not been appealed.
When it comes to the issue of law, sometimes I don't know whether we cherry pick what we want, because when we held you to we had to bring the facts to you for you to add the facts to the facts that you have. But I hope that you guys can find.
That's what I think I have been doing.
No, you didn't. You did not recognize.
In which area?
You did not recognize the fact that Ayan, who announced Abdurrahman, was part of those who announced Abdurrahman on the 3rd of November, 3 days within his suspension time. And now the other group is holding on to that. You guys will debate it later, and I don't know how it's going to end this, that whatever happens, because there's also the debate of the cascading effect of that action that led to the substantive takeover after the expiration of the tenure of the Ilyas Udamagun-led administration.
But I just made a point. I don't know if I was offline then.
What point did you make?
I said as at 18th of December. I said as at 18th of December 2025, the INEC position was that the PDP had no leadership at all, which means whatever must have transpired before that date does not matter. And then the issues of litigation came up. The next time was, I think, 30th of January, when the High Court in Ibadan granted Abdurrahman-led.
Madam. So that we lead the audience correctly. INEC did not say PDP had no leadership. INEC simply said, you are sending me too many correspondences.
Leadership.
Just hold on. You are sending me correspondences. Today is this person, today. So you go sort yourself. Until you sort yourself, please don't come here. So it didn't say, because we need to put the fact, it didn't say, so he said, Abdurrahman, Ilyas, all of you, go and solve your problem. You're causing trouble for us. We don't know who to correspond.
By implication, yes, by implication means they have no leadership they are dealing with directly at that time. So and they were not taking any correspondence from either. So until the Federal High Court judgment in Ibadan was pronounced. That's the point I'm making.
Okay. So does that INEC position supersede the disposition of the Supreme Court towards the suspension of Ayanwa, Ajibade and others now?
Not at all. There's nothing different that has happened. And that's why we comfortably declare that there's no judgment existing anywhere right now against suspension of any officer. That suspension was acknowledged as having passed by time. Court of Appeal upheld that. And the cross appeal and the upholding of the Court of Appeal, the Supreme Court declared that going into it will amount to academic exercise.
We're totally out of time. So
dismissed.
I know that they said, I have not seen anywhere in the records that the said suspension was lifted. So during the time of his suspension, that is Ajibade now ceased to be and act as national legal advisor, therefore could no longer perform his enshrined party constitutional duties, either as suspended member or national legal advisor.
How can it be lifted? How can it be lifted when they themselves that suspended were not on seat? Two, there was no disciplinary committee for them to go into by law, because the disciplinary committee existing was against the constitution by number of.
All right, madam, don't worry. I'll leave all of you to go and debate your case in court.
So these things are not. It's not confusing at all.
No, everybody can cherry pick. They will cherry pick theirs, you will cherry pick yours. But the most important is that you put your house in order, because they were suspended on the 1st. Let's agree without conceding that it terminated on the 30th, for instance. And then this particular, the leadership of Ilyas Damagun was supposed to end, I think, on the 8th or so of December. So when you said there was no leadership to
it wouldn't have been.
No, just
it wouldn't have been ending. Yes.
No, because you just mentioned now that there was no leadership to lift. I'm saying there was a leadership because the old leadership had not expired.
No.
Right. We really have to break this.
I said they submitted to dissolution of their leadership. So that vacuum was what the caretaker committee.
Madam, thank you so much.
Filled up.
It was important that you hear me out. I just give you a timeline. Suspension first, expired on the 30th, but leadership was till 8th of December. That's what I was saying, because of the issue of who can lift, who can't lift. But thank you.
Caretaker was 7th of December, yes.
Still within the time frame. That's what I'm saying.
It wasn't within the suspension.
PDP National Director of Publicity. Thank you, madam. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then, guys,
we really needed to break that. What's turning into a love affair.
When it felt like another law class.
When it comes to legal issues like this, sometimes it's about what you see. That's why lawyers canvass different positions. It depends how you see it. So our interest is just to present the facts. Our fact is that they were suspended on the 1st. Action was taken by the other group on the 3rd. Within that period. And then let's even agree without conceding that it's supposed to expire on the 30th. When she raised the concern about nobody to lift, that leadership was still subsisting till 7th of December. So
I can imagine how much of a headache they have trying to resolve issues. But you know what?
We'll leave it to the courts.
Let's try to.
It's none of our business.
Let's talk on that.
I want is just to state the fact, but we hope they can solve their problem.
Well, we hope so. Let's go to some of the things you've been talking about, and this particular one started trending online. So a certain user on X put out, what I call it, an advertisement. It was looking for someone to work with him, a creative, to edit videos, and you'll see the X post that was put up by the user. And then afterwards, I think the fee to be paid was between 500,000 and ₦1 million to edit, I think, about 100 videos, talking head videos. So this user, Aide Tamilore, then put up a post after he got responses from people saying, Twitter people are so funny. You will offer them 500,000 for a role, but because you are abroad, they want you to be paying them global rate. So naturally, a lot of people piled on this. And you had someone responding, saying, come on, let's go on to the next one. The first response that we got from some of the users.
That's from Yemi, right?
Yeah, from Yemi.
Who says, you can't be weaponizing a broken system against those who are trapped in and claim you are the smart one. Pay global rate or hire people in your location, period. Interesting thoughts there, because if they had to pay the global rate for those who work per hour in the Western world, they would be paying more than what they would pay, if they were hiring the services of someone back home. So isn't this a legitimate view that you can't weaponize that? Here's
another view.
Yeah.
This person says, emotions everywhere. YouTube Premium is about 5,000 naira in Nigeria, but in the UK it is from £14. Adobe Cloud subscription is about 55,000. No, it's more than that. It's about 80-something thousand. And if you're paying for stock, that's another extra 80-something thousand. But we get the point in Nigeria. But it is what? Is that
66 pounds in the UK?
Yes, in the UK.
And it goes on to say this is the same with Netflix and many others. Location pricing exists. That's why Netflix Nigeria will never pay their Nigerian staff £3,000 to £6,000 per month like they do in the United Kingdom. This is the same reason various companies moved their manufacturing to China. Cheap labor. Get someone in Canada to do it. No, he will not do that. Someone in Nigeria will be in his inbox asking to do the job. Should he consider pushing the price up? Yes, but paying the same as he would pay in Canada, is that a joke? So what's it for you guys? Would you rather advocate the global pricing standard, or because Nigeria is a go-to place for cheap labor, as in some other parts of the country, so pay the local rate?
It depends on how you want to negotiate. If you negotiate in your naira terms, maybe it will affect how it comes out. But if you want to negotiate according to global standard, keep it around the dollars, because if it's to clear water, there's no special way to clear the water. Water being cleared is water being cleared. The most important thing is that if I come, I don't want to see the water, right? Whatever machinery you use to put it out. So if I use a particular machinery to do it, you may not know. If I use my hands, you don't know.
Just make sure the water.
So I would price myself in dollars. So that the most important thing is that you said I should move this water out of move the water out of that place. You came and there's no water. Give me my dollar.
So there you go.
Particularly if you're able to clear that water better than your colleague.
The most important thing is that you came and
so you ask for the global rate.
The most important thing, you came, you didn't see water. How the water moved is really none of your business.
Pay me my money, right?
It's just my money.
So negotiation, but it's a big debate. That's on the one hand. The other one is about the son of late former President Muhammadu Buhari, whom I recall last week news broke that he was running for office to represent his people in the National Assembly. But it's not the running that has been getting attention. It is the quality of the pictures that has been getting attention. So people are asking, is it Bayo Moburiwo that is now taking Buhari's pictures? So you see how the conversation has shifted from, is he qualified to lead his people? Would he be a good representative to, wow, see his pictures? It's amazing what the people look at when they want to elect their leaders. But the pictures are not bad, right?
But look beyond the pictures and making up your mind. If you're the one voting for the son of the former president, what office is he running for now? Is it the House of Representatives?
Yes,
House of Representatives. So make up your mind based on what you perceive to be his ability to deliver. Perhaps you want also check, his professional track record, some of the things that he has done in the past. And of course, his personal record as an individual. Is he able to deliver? And so look beyond the brightness of the pictures to the brightness of his curriculum vitae.
I don't want to realize the fact that names are relevant in Nigeria to get elective position. is riding on his father's name. So I don't know anything about the gentleman. He was not like Sheikh Tinubu, who is all over. He was quiet. The only time we I think heard about him was when he had that bike accident. Yeah. The next time I saw him speak was when his father died. God rest Muhammad Buhari. So he was quite an articulate young man. So I don't know anything about his school. I don't know whether he's ever worked anywhere in his life. I don't know what he can bring to the table. But this is why you have to build a good name for yourself and your family, because these politicians are doing it, whether it's qualified or not. For the fact that Muhammad Buhari I think he's even going unopposed from what I learned from the APC. So he's not the only one. It's not Buhari alone. I think there are other families of current governors or former governors who are also going for one elected position or not. So this is the Nigeria we live in. It's not unique to Nigeria as well. Even in America it happens. So take care of your family and give them a good head start. That's it on the program. Thank you for your time and family. I say family. Thank you for your time and company. I'm Jeffrey Zama. Bye-bye.
Sarah Azili is up next, so stay with Channels Television. We'll be back again tomorrow. I am Bukola Koka.
As you lay your bed, that's how you lie on it. Well, that's some sort of instructive term, but I'm Kairedo Kikilo. Have a great day ahead.